Hello, welcome back to We the People Politics. Today, we will be making a 2024 election prediction map between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump based only on polls conducted throughout May and early June of this year. Like in my last prediction, states that do not have any polling data from May or June will be represented on this map by the most recent poll to come out of that state. We will also be using polls that both include and exclude third-party candidates, but if any poll has data for both, like this poll from Emerson College, we will only use the data that includes third parties. As you can see on this map, Delaware, the District of Columbia, and Nebraska's 1st and 3rd congressional districts do not have any polling data for this election cycle. Therefore, they will not be filled in so that zero bias will be present in this prediction. With all of that said, let's get predicting. As always, we will start with the national polls, where Trump currently leads by about a 1% margin. He was struggling in early May, but received a slight bump later in the month. With that out of the way, we will now move on to the safe states, which are determined by a margin of 12 percentage points or more. For President Biden, these states will be California, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Maryland, Vermont, and Washington, which, despite previously being likely Trump due to an outlier poll, is now Biden plus 12, giving Biden 94 safe electoral votes. For President Trump, these states will be Alaska, Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, North and South Dakota, Nebraska at large, Kansas, Oklahoma, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia, South Carolina, and Maine's 2nd congressional district, giving Trump 130 safe electoral votes. As for the remaining states, we will go from west to east, starting with the state of Hawaii, where the most recent poll from the Bulfinch Group has Biden leading by 8 percentage points, making Hawaii likely Biden. A likely state is determined by a margin of 5 to 12 percentage points. Similar story in Oregon, where Biden leads by 11 points in an April poll that is also from the Bulfinch Group, making Oregon also likely Biden. The state of Nevada currently has Trump leading by a margin of 5.5%, down from last month's margin of 8%, meaning that Nevada will be likely Trump. In the state of Arizona, Trump currently leads by a margin of just over 5%, up from his 3-point margin in the previous video, making Arizona likely Trump. Biden maintains his 10-point lead from a March poll in the state of Colorado, so we would say that it continues to be likely Biden. Same story in New Mexico, where Biden's 8-point lead remains unchanged, as there have been no new polls since August, so New Mexico will also be likely Biden. There are no new polls from the state of Texas, however, Trump does lead by 9 points in an April YouGov poll, so we would say that Texas is likely Trump. In Nebraska's 2nd congressional district, Biden has managed to flip it and is now leading by a margin of 5%, up 8 points from his 3-point deficit last month, making Nebraska's 2nd district likely Biden. Moving up to the state of Minnesota, a state that appears to be a battleground according to recent polling, Biden currently leads by a 2-point average, up from his previous 1-point lead, increasing the margin to lean Biden. A lean state is determined by a margin of 2 to 5 percentage points. The state of Wisconsin has returned to its status as the most competitive swing state, as Biden now leads by just under 1%, 3 points better than Trump's lead of 2.5 points last month, which will make Wisconsin tilt Biden. A tilt state is determined by a margin of 2 percentage points or under. Polling remains the same in the state of Illinois, where Biden leads by 10 percentage points in an October poll, meaning it will continue to be likely Biden. In the state of Michigan, Trump barely leads by just under 1%, down 2 points from his 2.5-point margin in the last video, making Michigan tilt Trump. 2 new polls out of Ohio have Trump leading by a 7.5-point margin, down from his previous lead of 11 points. A 7.5-point margin will make Ohio likely Trump. Moving down to the former swing state of Florida, Trump leads the average by a margin of 9 percentage points, down from its previous lead of just under 11 percentage points, meaning that Florida will be likely Trump. Trump is also leading in Georgia by just about 5.5%, which is down from last month's margin of 7%, making Georgia barely likely Trump. Trump leads by a slightly large 6-point margin in North Carolina, a slight improvement from his lead of 5.5 points in the previous video, making North Carolina also likely Trump. The state of Virginia has had some very close polling results recently, and despite previously winning it by 10% in 2020, Biden only leads by a 2-point margin, down from his previous 3-point margin, making Virginia just barely lean Biden. Trump barely leads in the state of Pennsylvania by just over a 1-point average, down from his previous lead of 2.5 points, bringing it down to tilt Trump. Biden still leads by a 5-point margin in a March Emerson College poll from New Jersey, so we would say that it is once again likely Biden. Up in New York, 2 recent polls suggest that the margin could be narrowing. However, a poll from Slingshot Strategies that has Biden up by 19% brings the average to 11.7%, up from 10% in the last video, making New York almost safe, but likely Biden. Once again, we do not have any new polling out of Connecticut, so we will use the October Emerson College poll that has Biden up by only 9 points, making Connecticut likely Biden. We finally have new polls out of New Hampshire. However, Biden's 3-point lead remains unchanged, therefore keeping New Hampshire lean Biden. Finally, in the state of Maine, we have a new poll in the 538 aggregate that shows an incredibly close race, the third poll in a row that shows Trump outperforming expectations significantly. The data that includes the most third parties and a write-in option shows Trump leading by 1 point, down from 6 points in the last video, making Maine at large tilt Trump. Biden maintains his 8-point lead in the 1st District in a February poll from Pan Atlantic Research, so we would say that it continues to be likely Biden. And with that, we conclude this video. Trump wins with 302 electoral votes to Biden's 228. Here, we have a map showing the change in margins from the previous polling update. As you can see, Biden has mostly improved his performance, although Trump has improved in the key swing state of Arizona and has made Virginia even closer than it already was. If you would like to watch my previous polling update that I have referenced multiple times throughout this video, the link will be in the description down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit the like button. Also, we are just 3 subscribers away from reaching the 150 total. If you like my content, feel free to press the subscribe button as we are trying to reach 500 by election day. With all of that said, I hope you enjoyed this video and I can't wait to see you in the next one.